Hello there. Right. Despite being an Irishman, as I believe myself to be completely Irish, I've lived in the UK all my working life, so I've got a respect for this country that has given me my living. And also, I respect the history, good or bad, of this country. Because when you disrespect the history of a country that you don't feel you belong to, then all you do is you rile the natives. So I'm a white Irish man, and the love of my life, my woman, is a black Nigerian. I've got two mixed race boys. I've got a white daughter, a white granddaughter. So I'm coming from a really neutral perspective when it comes to what's happening in the UK today regarding this racial tension. So I'm telling you now in this video, I'm just going to say things as they are, because there's too much wish-washy going on and people are afraid to say the truth in case it offends. That bullshit isn't going to apply in this video, okay? I'm just going to say things how they are, and hopefully, people will listen, and a lot of people who need to come to their senses will do. So basically, what have we got in the UK today? Right, we're right in the middle now of troubled times. It started in America and it quickly got across the Atlantic and has followed us to the UK, okay? Because I believe now that the Western world, especially the UK and the USA, we're on the brink of a massive civil disruption. We're on the brink of massive racial tensions, okay? And this has all been instigated by who I call the puppet masters, the real people, the real control in this world, who control us through the mainstream media and through governments. These racial tensions have been created intentionally by the powers that be, because they want division, they want violence, they want the little people on this planet to turn against each other, and they don't care who gets hurt in the process as long as they get what they want. So how do we get to this situation? Well, quite simply, what's happened here is, the mainstream media, at the behest of the puppet masters, have created a situation of pure racial tension over the death of just one man in America. One man who was unlawfully killed by the police in America. Make no mistake about it, it was an unlawful killing. It was shocking, absolutely shocking, and nobody deserved that to happen to them. But it did happen. And now the mainstream media have taken this and given it full 24-hour coverage, both sides of the Atlantic, in order to stir up all this tension. To stir all this tension up. And then what's happened is the powers that be and the police have stood by and allowed these protesters and these riots, basically the Black Lives Matters movement, the political movement that is the Black Lives Matters, to run roughshod over UK cities and American cities. Black Lives Matter, the concept is fantastic. I want my wife's black life to matter. I want my children's black lives to matter more than anybody else. But it only seems to matter, when they're prodded into action, by the people paying them, in this political movement, to create racial tension, and it's always on the back of a black man being killed by a white police officer, never on the back of a black man being killed by another black man, So anyway, where we are now is right in the middle, of racial tension all across the Atlantic, and what's happened is the people, the indigenous people of Britain and USA have stood back and watched this all unfold, just waiting to see if it would burn out, eventually. But what's happened now is, these movements have turned their attention to the histories of them two great countries. Let's be honest, the two countries that did more than any others to bring civilization to the whole world. So they've turned their attention, to these countries, to historical figures, important historical figures who may, hundreds of years ago, had, mentalities very different than the mentality that prevails today, and that is that everybody is equal. So they want to rip these statues down. Well, the indigenous people of these countries now, the United Kingdom and the United States, have said enough is enough. Okay, when you start to attack the history of a country, yeah, and individuals who mean a lot to that country, yeah, whether they're good or bad is irrelevant. When you try changing the history of any country, you will get a kickback. That's just what's going to happen. Okay. Now, I personally have watched this all unfold before my neutral eyes in the past 10, 20 years in the UK. I've watched the government in the UK and the mainstream media, yeah, I watched them putting the English people down, the heritage of the English people down. I've watched calls for St. George's flag not to be flown, for the Union Jack not to be flown on certain occasions. Okay, I've even seen calls for things like Christmas to be banned in the UK because it's offensive, and the nativity scene to be banned in the UK because it's offensive. Okay, things I've seen as a neutral that are absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous and absolutely agenda driven. Okay, and also in 20 years in this country, yeah, the last 20 years, I've seen so much preferential treatment given not just by the media and the government, but also by local authorities, preferential treatment given to Muslim communities and to immigrants over and above English people. I've seen the government of the UK and the police of the UK completely ignoring the concerns of the English people regarding things like immigration. Also, we've seen in the last 20 years how the government, along with the mainstream media and the police and councils, all were complicit in covering up the grooming gang rapes of thousands of young English girls. Okay? You have to understand that all these situations, yeah, build up inside an indigenous British man, yeah, and create a resentment. Yeah? Basically what they've done is they've intentionally over the years created what we have now, which is this great big melting pot. Absolutely. And at the same time as all this, what they've done is they've allowed the British police force to become an absolute laughingstock. Yeah? An absolute laughingstock. When I was a young boy growing up in Dublin, yeah, there was this saying, and I heard it a lot because I was a very small child: "You'll never be a copper, mate." And basically what they're saying is, yeah, you're so small, you're never going to reach the 5'10" limit to be a copper. In other words, you're going to be too small to be a copper. Okay? And that's because back in them days, people realised, to be a policeman, to exert police force, you had to be a man of certain size and stature in order to protect yourself and to protect others. Okay? But what's happened to the UK police force now? Yeah, basically, women have been put in charge of so many of the district police forces. You've got this woman in charge of the London Met, for instance, the woman in charge of the Birmingham police force, and it's prevalent around the country where women have taken control of the police forces. Okay, and also they're no longer police forces in any sense of the word, policing and force. Okay, what they've become, what they've been allowed to become, yeah, is a showcase for political correctness and diversity. So they're as likely to be seen driving around in a pride parade with a rainbow on the side of the car than they are actually apprehending any dangerous criminals. It's shocking what's happened to the police force in the UK. Yeah, absolutely shocking. Yeah, look at it now. Yeah, look on your TV now. You're looking basically at an army of 5'1" police women making up a huge percentage of our police force, And all these police, they're more likely now to have been trained to deal with people's hurt feelings than they are trained to combating crime and to controlling angry mobs. Madness, Now I hope with all my heart, yeah, as a pacifist, an absolute pacifist and unashamedly so, I hope with all my heart that this doesn't escalate, that this tension at the moment doesn't escalate into civil unrest and disruption and violence. I hope so, okay? But if it does, I greatly fear that our police force are going to be trampled in the process, okay? And if it does escalate into violence, I want the people of the UK to know this, yeah? I want them to know who to blame, okay? You don't want to be blaming the individuals. You don't want to be blaming the genuine people who are looking for a better deal for black people. You don't want to be blaming the genuine white people who are looking to protect the history of their country. The people to blame are the powers to be. Yeah, the powers that be, the puppet masters who rule this country, just like they rule the United States and they rule the world, who through their puppets in the government and the mainstream media, they pull the strings. They are the people who've created this situation because it's a situation that's going to benefit them and nobody else. So know who to blame, but also a lot of the sheep in this country who've allowed themselves to be indoctrinated, yeah, to allow themselves to be blinded by the agendas of these powers are also going to be complicit if, as I hope it doesn't, but if this all kicks off, you know, because this has all been 20 years in the making and it's all led to this. And I hope with all my heart it doesn't happen, but the signs at the moment are not good. So everybody out there, yeah, think twice before you get involved. Think twice about who the real blame is for this, where the real cause lies, okay? And most of all, guys, take care of yourselves, look after each other, and everybody be safe. Until next time, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Bye for now.